Alright, Schlockmeisters fans, an 80s horror classic here. Fade to Black. I dig this film. Let's watch it. Dennis Christopher plays Eric Binford.
Mr. Smart fell asleep with his nose buried in the screen.
He lives with his bitch aunt.
One-eyed monster's gonna wreck his eyes, much less soften his brain. No idea you'd be such a trial. Your mother was beautiful. She was a great talent. Hollywood was at her feet.
Eric Binford is a movie freak. He works in a place that delivers, like, film canisters and movie posters.
Didn't deliver the sit fine yesterday afternoon.
Burger, I told you that the one sheets weren't ready. Printer was
Bullshit! And you're late again.
She looks like Marilyn Monroe, and her character's name is Marilyn.
Besides, I gotta get in shape. I'll never be a model with these thighs.
Oh, not that again.
She's in Hollywood looking to become a model.
I want to be somebody.
You mean Rick,
A young Mickey Rourke in his, I think, second film
The
role.
Bogart character?
Yeah.
It's a cinch. Wait a minute, I got it on the end of my tongue.
It's a co-worker, and he doesn't like Eric.
Time, Richie.
Eric happens to meet Marilyn in a diner and gets a Marilyn Monroe flashback in his head. Well, in spite of his awkwardness, he manages to pick her up.
I once went to 3 movies every day for a year, and I never missed once.
You're lucky. In my town, the Australian Outback.
This is a cop on the left, a woman, and this like doctor or writer or psychiatrist or something who wants to write about murderers and things.
Bugs me. I'm obsessed with the subject and it...
Anyway, Eric has a date with Marilyn.
Miss Marilyn Monroe.
But she never shows up for their date.
I forgot I was supposed to meet this guy in Westwood hours ago.
Peter Horton.
Look, I've got to go.
What's the matter? Don't you like men?
Anyway, she hurries down to where they're supposed to meet, and they just missed each other. He waited quite a while. Anyway, he has his own film player at home until the bitch aunt breaks it. Well, then he becomes James Cagney and pushes her down the stairs. That's the end of the ant.
Is Jarrett. Got it? Cody Jarrett.
He changes his name to Cagney's character in White Heat. So there's a late showing of Night of the Living Dead, which he goes to attend, dressed as Dracula. A lot of other people are dressed up too, it's not just Eric. Back to Marilyn now, and she's taking a shower, as she does. And she's being stalked. And then Eric shows up. So he didn't actually kill Marilyn, but he goes out in the street and finds this other woman and chases her down. Doesn't actually kill her either, but she died. When in Dracula costume, be Dracula. Tastes her blood. Mickey Rourke refused to pay the bet that he lost.
Remember? Rick's last name?
No, Eric. We still have time for that.
Yeah, tomorrow. Tomorrow was last week.
Next, he dresses up as Hopalong Cassidy.
No, man. That's William Boyd.
Friend of yours?
He's the famous Hopalong Cassidy, right?
And that's how he gets revenge on Mickey Rourke.
Binford.
Think there is a link between the Dracula murder and this cowboy caper.
One of the victims was a stock boy in an advertising firm, the other's a hooker. Now, where's the connection?
It's obvious. We've got to stop this killer from further acting on his
Where
fantasy.
the hell did you join the police force?
Sort of like an early 50s Sam Fuller piece, you know?
He hitches a ride with the big producer
Story about these,
and pitches a story to him.
and they break out of jail, and
join up with this carnival of convicts.
Somebody tells him Marilyn Monroe is dead.
Wrong.
What are you talking about?
You said you're wrong. She's lying to you and I. She's dead.
Then he gets fired from his job.
My posters are valuable originals. I want them.
Well, you forget it, because anything inside belongs to me.
Later that night, through a Halloween poster, Eric is now dressed as the Mummy. And he scares the crap out of his boss, who then drops dead before he can take his heart pills. Eric sees that producer on TV.
Oh, yeah. And it just flashed on me when I was driving home after a meeting with Dick and David.
And he's talking about the thing that Eric pitched him.
I've never heard of you.
Remember, you picked me up hitchhiking. I gave you the whole idea for my movie.
Now, firstly, son, I never pick up hitchhikers. And secondly, we never accept outside material.
So he plays a gangster.
Not so long, mister.
Eventually, the cops track him down.
Found these pictures and this.
He changed his street sign, too.
What for? It's police business.
Well, he got Marilyn to show up to a photo op. One of the guys that he's like some Turkish prince or something. And she apparently doesn't recognize him. I believe he drugged her a little bit before they started doing whatever they're going to do. She's still awake, just a little out of it.
Eric Binford, where are you? Drop it. Go! Stop right now.
Well, he takes Marilyn down to Grauman's Chinese Theater, where Little Darlings is playing. He ends up inside the theater.
Finally got the slimy bastard cornered, right?
Captain, listen. No matter what he is, try and remember he's only a sick kid who needs help.
That's what I'm here for, to help him.
Then he ends up on the roof. And he's a star now. Alright, let's talk about this movie Fade to Black. This is one of my favorite horror movies from back in the day. Saw it on cable many, many times in the 80s. This would pop up on HBO, Showtime, the movie channel. And I saw it quite a bit. This was actually one of the earliest movies that I taped when I first got my Beta VCR in October of 1984. I think I taped it in early 85, or maybe it was late 84, I don't know. But yeah, one of the earliest ones I ever had. So anyway, the movie is Dennis Christopher as Eric Binford. He lives with his aunt, who we find out later in the movie is actually his mother, but he never knew about it, and she's kind of a bitch. And he's a total film freak. He works in this place where they deliver posters, movie posters, and film canisters, probably filled with films. I don't know. He's just a big, big movie buff. He's obsessed with it. But he's also kind of awkward and shy. Nonetheless, he meets this girl named Marilyn who looks just like Marilyn Monroe in real life and everything. Her actress was named Linda Carriage. And he picks her up, and they're going to go out on a date later that night, but she stands him up. She totally forgot to go meet him until it was too late. She went to reach him, and he was gone by then. So anyway, this kind of shattered Eric a little bit. He was already a little disturbed. So after his aunt knocks over his film thing, he's got this reel-to-reel film player that he uses, and she breaks it. He gets upset, and she's in a wheelchair, and he pushes her out the door, down the steps, and kills her, just like James Cagney did in White Heat. Next thing you know, he dresses up as Dracula, and he goes to Linda Carriage's, Marilyn's place. She's taking a shower, and he's doing like a psycho thing, even though he's dressed as Dracula. Doesn't actually kill her, though, leaves, ends up chasing this other woman down the street, and she falls and impales herself on this fence. And then he eats her or drinks her blood, just like Dracula. Next thing you know, he dresses up as Hopalong Cassidy to shoot Mickey Rourke, his coworker who stiffed him on a bet. And then he dresses up as the Mummy to kill his boss, who fired him earlier. Later on, he dresses up as like this Turkish prince to lure Marilyn to him to take some photographs and things. Ultimately, he kind of takes her hostage, ends up downtown Hollywood at Grauman's Chinese Theater. He gets chased up onto the roof where the police end up shooting him, and he falls off, and that's the end of our movie. One thing I remember about this movie is I remember seeing it on cable, and the actress Linda Carriage has a nude scene in this movie, a shower scene, where you completely see her boobs. However, in the DVD version here, which was put out by Anchor Bay many years ago, you can't see it. It's cropped just enough where you can't see her nipples. But I do remember seeing them. And if you look online, you can actually see the screen caps from this movie where they do exist. It probably was on videotape where you could see them, and on cable where you could see them. But on the DVD, no. I don't know why. But anyway, she did Playboy. If you're interested in seeing her naked, you can see her there too. She's an Australian actress, hasn't done much else, a few other things. Now she's apparently living in Australia again. Haven't seen anything out of her in years and years and years. But anyway, back to the movie. Yeah, I really dig this movie. It's kind of fun. Dennis Christopher's a good actor. A decent cast in this movie. And it was just a good horror movie. I like it. Totally cool. So anyway, this is another one of these movies that's been out of print for years and years and years. People love this movie and they're trying to track it down. It's kind of hefty, the prices. If you're trying to get this DVD, you have to pay $50-$60 for it. Maybe you can get a little cheaper here and there. I don't know. People have been clamoring for a Blu-ray for this for a very long time, and it hasn't happened yet. I don't know why. But anyway, I'm glad I have this. I've had this for like 20 years, a long time. So check it out. Fade to Black. It's a horror favorite from the 80s, and everybody seems to like it. I'm curious if you do. Let me know. Leave some comments. Watch it.